step. I think it's a little stressful if we just let the whole thing play. I'd rather not stress you out.
Yes, I agree. Okay, perfect. All right,
So maybe we can make both the cornhole pieces instead of just the one, and that will take up a little more time for them.
I wouldn't. I think that they're 6 and 7 and 8. So I would just maybe just do one.
We'll see how it goes. Rose Moonfire, did you have a question?
I don't know what's going on because I just got here.
Yes.
We haven't started yet, so you are in luck. So you were ready at the starting line. We haven't said go yet, so you're good.
Do you have your piece of wood out, Rosa Moonfire? Do you have your piece of wood?
I'm not going to do this on. I'm gonna watch the video and watch this
That's perfect.
until I get bored, and then I'm gonna do it while watching the video, so I can pause and do it, or else I might get crazy and nobody might have to call my parents again and email them.
I did text your mom to tell her that you were having a rough time to make sure I wanted to make sure you were okay and that your feelings weren't hurt.
But you know, Rosa Moonfire, I have a very good strategy that you know that it will be better for you to watch it, and then you watch it a second time and you do the work while you're watching it the second time. That's a very good strategy to make yourself successful. Nicely done.
Just like the crocheting, which I haven't done yet.
I look forward to going back and watching the crochet video because I want to learn how to crochet too. I have no idea how to do that.
Me either. Something my grandma wanted to teach me, and I had too much impatience as a younger child.
During the session, I was
just
saying,
like me.
I learned, my grandma taught me to do a chain stitch, and then we never got back to it again. And I never learned beyond that. And a couple times I tried to figure out what to do next, and I was never able to. But today I was able to add rows on for the first time, and I was so thrilled.
Yay!
Instead of just a straight long line, I have
amazing. I love not being the craft director.
Messy but rows.
That's amazing.
I love it. And you know what I love is your smile tells it all. Like you're just kind of like, I did this.
Very much.
Here, can I do a screenshot? Will you indulge me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You want my crochet?
Yes. Hold on. Let me get a big picture. Let me do this. Hide everyone else. All right. Show us. Cheese. Big smile. Big grin. There you go. Okay.
Oh, we've got a photo bomber.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for letting me take pictures.
You're welcome.
Oh, cancel that spotlight. Assign spotlight to Shamrock. All the humans are on mute. I see that there are Girl Scouts already taking out their wood to getting it sanded.
Do we have enough kids to go on to like the first little section that shows the supplies we need? And then that way they can get themselves gathered.
Yep. I
could be awake by now. I have sleep in my eyes.
The cornhole game. Is that what you're ready? We're ready to do that? Great. Share screen. There's so much multitasking happening right now.
I'm very impressed by all your multitasking.
Thank you. Oh, look, 3 views. One, and they've all been me. Let's focus, push play. Fill screen.
All right, campers, we are on our very last couple.
Oops, I do not hear a sound.
Telling me that you did. Are you telling me that you did not hear a sound?
No, and then you were muted for a second, and then your voice put on. So I don't know if it was, if you were having trouble hearing the video, if there was no sound, put your hand up. Okay, so it wasn't just me being glitchy.
Great. Let's try again. Share computer sound has been selected, and I'm pushing share, and then I will push rewind a little bit because that's such a cute thing that says let's shamrock, and here we go.
All right, campers, we are on our very last couple of sets of projects. Right now we are going to make a cornhole set, and then we are going to do some beanbag sewing after that. So for this project, you're going to need your 2 pieces of plywood as well as 2 pieces of pine. These should be the last pieces of wood you have in your kit. So please note that on this piece of pine that you are going to have a bit of an angle cut on the top. Let's see if I can get in the picture. It's hard to see on here, but one side is flat and the other side has a bit of an angle cut into it. So that angular side is going to go up. For this project, you're also going to need some of your sandpaper, and the one I'm using is 120 grit.
It looks like Imagine has a question. Imagine or Dragon.
We can't see it.
You can't see it?
Yeah.
Mozart, were you seeing videos on your end?
Yes.
Well, do you see Shamrock's face in the corner, or do you see my face in the corner?
I have the people on gallery view, so I see everyone's face.
Oh, great, great. All right. So Imagine and Dragon, perhaps it's the way that your view is set up. Perhaps if you set it to speaker view, it will take over. That could possibly be it. Good luck.
You will need some nails from your nail pouch. This is the same pouch that we used when we made our Jacob's ladder. Once again, we're going to use our little piece of paper board from a cereal box. If you threw it away, don't worry about it. Just go to your recycling bin. If you have any sort of safety glasses, I would like for you to wear them. If you are outside, a pair of sunglasses will work in a pinch. The last thing you're going to need to make the cornhole set is your hammer. In the last video for Jacob's Ladder, when we use this, we talked about hammer safety. So I'm just going to remind you that this is a tool and not a toy, and to be cautious with it and make sure you put it away when you're done. Please also make sure that you're wearing closed-toe shoes for safety, and keep track of how many nails you are in control of. Right now I have 14 nails in my little bowl. All right, as I said a minute ago, we have a flat side of your pine board and a slanted side. You're going to put the slanted side on the top, and the tallest part of the slant will be at the very back of it.
All right.
First thing we're going to do, though, is we are
I want to make sure
going to some nails.
Oops. My finger slipped.
So what I did is...
Okay, very cool. All right, so if you have all of those supplies just laid out in front of you, and unless you're just watching the video, if you're just watching the video to absorb the information and you're going to do the project later, this question doesn't apply to you. But if you do want to build with us right now, if you have all your supplies in front of you and you're good to go, give me a hand up. Okay, looks like Brave Bear. I think a shark's hand went up real fast. Pants is ready. Definitely ready. Let's see. I see Imagine's got her hand up. Helen, are you good to go? I mean, Star, are you good to go? Okay, Riley's good to go. And Woodstock and Shark. And I think Star, your hand went up. Yeah, I got thumbs up. Okay, we're good.
Have everyone smile at the camera with a thumbs up so I can get a picture. Class picture time. Cheese. Thank you. Okay, now we can move on. Back to the video.
Yes, thank you.
Is I took a pencil, and you can take one of your pencils that you have with you, and we are going to very lightly draw a line. And don't make it too dark. It just needs to be a little bit of a line. And you're going to put your pine board all the way at the top to meet with the very top edge along here. And just lightly drag your pencil. And then you will have a very fine line that goes across. That way we know on this side of the line we'll actually hit some pine. On this side of the line we will not.
Nobody, if you could spotlight.
Before we start nailing.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see right here I have a line that goes across? This is the only way I can see that if you can actually see. I'm peeking at you. So the whole idea is that your wood's going to be lined up behind here. You want to make sure that when your nail goes through, it's just not going to blow through the back part. We want to make sure it connects with the leg. So, all right. When you've done your line on your piece of wood, give us a thumbs up and we will ratchet on to the next part. All right. Excellent. Okay, good.
I think we're ready to go because
I agree.
Well, let me make Pickle a co-host while I'm here because I can
Hello, Pickle.
I'm not screen sharing. And play.
We can give our board a little bit of a sand on the edges where it was cut. It might have some splinters and on the middle section as well. So we're going to give this a very quick sand. So basically what I'm looking for is a board that is not going to splinter me. All right, now that that is done, we're going to take our nail strip. I'm going to poke a hole through it with my nail. And I'm not going to put the pine behind it yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off about right in the middle. And I'm also going to be between the line and the edge. I am going to take my very first nail and I am going to get it started. Remember, campers, that you want to be working on a protected surface, so make sure you're not going to ruin your family dining table. All right, so I'm holding this down and I'm just going to go in a little bit. And I am doing what's called setting a nail. Actually, I don't know if it's actually this.
All right, so I'm going to show you on my video again. So you see my nails? So the first nail I'm doing is between the left and the right short edges. So I'm just kind of going right about in the middle of where your hole is. And then I'll get really close here. My nails are halfway between the edge and my pencil line. And the reason why we're doing that is we want to make sure that the nail actually goes into the leg. All right, if you understand, give us a thumbs up and we'll continue on. All right.
This is the part that's setting it. I'm just kind of getting it in place so that it'll be easier. So when I have them all in there, that we can land them. I'm actually going to try to do this without my nail strip. I'm going to go close to the edge on one side. Once again, in the middle between my pencil line and the edge. Now I'm going to straighten it out as I go. And I did not go all the way in on that one either. I'm going to do another one on this edge. And actually it goes pretty easily into this board if you push with your fingers. Once again, I'm not popping through the board. You can, here, where can we see the 3 nails? So I have 1, 2.
All right, so I would, and nobody with your mouse, can you circle around the nails just so they can see that they're really standing up, they're barely into the board. And now nobody's going to show you with her cursor. We're going to put 2 more nails and they're going to go in between, right about where my finger is, perfect on that side and there. So we're going to have 5 nails standing up. All right, whenever you're ready, nobody.
And 3. And I'm going to do 2 more, 1 in the middle of each one of these. Last one. And as I'm trying to get these just tacked in here, in an effort to not hurt my fingers, I'm going very lightly. Okay. Now we are going to put our slanted side up, and the taller part is going to be towards the outside of our project. All right, let me get some stuff out of the way. Now I'm going to line these 2 up and make sure my plywood is centered between each edge of the pine. So I know my middle nail is pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and land that one. It went a little crooked, that's okay, I can fix that in a minute. And straighten them out if they're going crooked on you before you land them. I'm just gonna bury that one in there because I think it'll be just fine. All right, and there we go, campers. That's your first side. So now you're gonna repeat the process with your other piece of plywood and your other piece of pine. When you are done with this project, feel free to use your Sharpies or to use some of your paints to decorate this. You could put just designs on it, or you could do a sports logo, or you put your name on the set. And remember, when you're planning things out, it's best to start with a pencil, because if you do a pencil and you don't like it, you could either use an eraser or you could lightly sand the pencil marks off. All right. Thank you, campers.
So what I am thinking is when all of the humans are getting to the point where they're done with the first one, we have got about 35 minutes left. Maybe we can replay some of the video if you want to do the second side. And then remember the beanbag sewing. Here's one of my bean bags. You've got 6 pieces of fabric in your kit that, oh, I just can't grab it. There we go. They're about this big. And after they're folded and sewn, they're going to be made into bean bags. Those videos will be available on the YouTube channel. And this is the type of thing that it would be really good if you are doing it when you're not in a rush, when you can stop the video and really take your time. Also, we have Cornhole Rules that are going to be available on the Facebook page. And I didn't think about printing the Cornhole Rules before we sent the boxes out. Otherwise, I would have printed little ones for you. And if you print one, and you could always tape it or glue it to the bottom side of your cornhole, so it could be here. So if you haven't played in a while, you will have the directions just taped right to the bottom of your project. Because I don't play games often enough to remember my rules, and if I didn't have my rule card, I would be lost and all that. So that way you can keep it with this. Does anybody have a question or, oh, nobody's got a question.
So I think that it's pretty self-explanatory to just do the second one without having to rewatch the video. So I think what we should do is play the slideshow in the background, and families can choose which project they work on, because they can just finish what they're working on, or they can try doing the sewing. And that way we get a good clean recording. But I think there's some Girl Scouts who've already put theirs, have already built theirs. Can you show us again? Pants had such an elated face when she showed us. Yay! And Woodstock. So great. I was so
excited. I see Woodstock. Oh, she's peeking through.
Great. Peekaboo, Woodstock, and Blaze. All right. So how about if I play the slideshow now?
Oh, Brave Bear. Brave Bear showing hers off now.
Oh, Brave Bear. Hello. Oh, Helen's got hers.
Nice. Good job, Star. Very cool. I think I saw Imagine with holding one up as well. All right. That was a pretty good smile, Pants, that you had there. Rosa Moonfire, do you have a question?
Can I show my kite of what it looks like right now? I haven't finished it yet.
You want to hold up the picture and show us? Ooh, look at that art. Oh, you did the ladybug one. Cool beans. Nice job. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I'm doing purple up here.
Could you all hear
I like that you're taking time.
Yeah. I started it like yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday that I started coloring it? I'm a little bit off on the projects.
That's perfect. I think we're all off on the projects. All right. I'm going to start the slideshow.
Sounds good.
Or maybe I'm not. I've got a new Mac and it's outsmarting me. I've got a new Mac and it's opening. All right, now let's go back to this screen. So many screens,
So
multitasking.
I moved inside because it was getting very windy, so I don't have that camp look behind me anymore. But if I look sleepy, it's because I'm very comfy now.
All right, so we have, here's the slide for sewing bean bags. The next one is in your small parts bag. There's a sewing envelope, a spool of thread, and 6 pieces of cloth. In this, and there's also a paper bag full of beans. And guess what? There are more beans in that paper bag than you will need for your project. So you'll be able to fill it up as however works for you. And you'll also need a pair of scissors from home. And in our sewing envelope, you'll need 2 sewing pins. You'll find 2 sewing needles and common pins. And when I'm working with Linnea on her sewing activities, Pink Marshy, when I work with Pink Marshy, I thread one needle and then she uses it. And while she's using that needle, I thread the next needle because it takes me a long time. Pickle, would you like to say anything about the right side and the wrong side of the, or should I just?
I think you did a good job explaining it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm actually enjoying
I really like
it.
The picture choices, Shamrock. Thank you.
Yes, Shamrock can rest and I will take over only this part of the teaching because I love to not be the crafts teacher. So material has a right side and a wrong side, and this material in particular has been selected to celebrate our favorite pickle. And you can see that the right side of the fabric it's very bright, and the wrong side is the reverse side, and it's very dull. So the next step here with this video, we're going to be doing a finger press. So the finger press is just going to fold the edges around and make it tight. So I will press play. Da, 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 da.
We folded over this long edge, finger pressed it, then proceeded with the 2 short edges, also finger pressed those. And if you really run your fingernails along the edge, you'll basically...
And it cuts off a little bit, but it doesn't say you haven't missed anything. But you'll basically get a really good...
It's a controlled wrinkle. It's basically a controlled wrinkle, and I edited it too fast, and then I deleted the original file, so oops.
Controlled wrinkle. Well, I might go and add that to the YouTube video. Moving on to the next one. Maybe.
We folded a little bit over of the right side of the material. We're going to push it down with our fingers, and then you're going to pinch it, and you're going to finger press it.
Now we're going to repeat with the left side, and then we're going to fold it in half the long way and finger press that controlled wrinkle as well.
The next step is that we're going to use our common pins, and on the sides that are folded over, you're going to take one of your pins and you push it through the material straight down, then you bend it upwards and then push it through the material again. We're going to use all 4 pins. We're going to go down the other edge of this, and we're going to push it through, bend it up, and then pierce it through. Keep turning. I'm going to start on this side. Push it through. Move it up. And gently push it through. Make sure you don't stab your finger as you do this. And then if you have any little raw edges popping up, you can kind of fold them in. Last pin. Pierce it through. Move it up. Bend it through. Next, we're going to get our thread out. So when you look at your spool of thread, which is in your small parts bag, on the sticker at the top, most likely, there's a little notch. It's hard to see on my white thread because it's a white spool. But if you lift the sticker a little bit, you'll be able to see the end of the thread and pull it off. Now we want to make sure that we have a piece of thread that is going to be a good workable length for us. A good rule to go by so that it doesn't get terribly knotted is that if it's 2 lengths of your arm from your wrist to the inside of your elbow. So I take the thread, I'll grab the end of it, and I will go up to my elbow one time and I let go, and then I go grab a little more and I go up to my inside of my elbow the second time, and I'm going to cut it right about here, and that way you'll have a good length to work with.
Nobody, could you pause for 1 second? All right, so I'm going to address the adults. If you are helping your child get a needle and thread ready and the kid's going to be the person who's sewing, measure the thread for their arm between their wrist and their elbow. Because what happens is if their thread is if you measure it on your arm, the thread's going to be too long for them to successfully be able to work with it. Basically, they're going to be, pulling it way up every time, and it'll get really knotted. So measure off of them and not you. Okay. Oh, and I see Shark and her adults are doing it right now. Good job.
All right, we're going to get one of our sewing needles out, and be careful with these because they're very hard to see once they're dropped on the floor, and you don't want any pets or humans to hurt their feet on these needles. So what I normally do is I will take the end of my thread, and if it's looking really fuzzy, I might cut it off with my scissors, or maybe get it a little wet. I'll just stick it in my mouth and pull it out. Not the most hygienic thing probably to do during Corona, but these are your bean bags and you're going to use them. So you're going to basically thread the end through the eye of the needle. And it might take a few times. Once it pokes through a little bit, grab it with your fingers, and there you go. If you have a really hard time with this would be a good thing to go ask your adult for help with. Once it is through, you're going to pull a bit of a tail through. You'll have one really long end and one shorter end. Okay, now we need to knot the end of your string. So you have your short end here and your long tail. So what I like to do is a French knot. So I'm pulling the long end of my thread. I'm going to stick my finger out like this, and you see how the thread lines up with it. I'm going to pinch it. Then I take my needle and I'm going to put the sharp side up right there. Now I'm going to pinch that needle. I'm going to take the long working end of my thread and I'm going to go around the needle 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull it down, and then at the very tippity top of the thread, I'm putting my thumbnail there, not on the sharp part, but just below it. And I'm going to push the needle up, wiggle it through. I'm going to continue to pinch, and I'm going to let the thread slide through. I have to give it a little bit of a wiggle to get it through. Now I'm going to pull and try to basically keep the other thread from getting knotted up as it goes through. Pull, 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 pull. And then you have a French knot at the end.
Shamrock, I just have to say that that's so fancy and quite amazing. And perhaps we should upload as its own video how to make a French knot when sewing, because I think people around the world could use that video.
So I'm going to tell you a quick little story on that one. So there's a friend of mine, and actually Pickle knows who she is too, Miss Elizabeth, who subs at school with us. And she used to teach quilt making, and there were a bunch of us who were working on a quilt to donate, and we're all sitting there trying to tie these little knots into the end of her string and looping it over our finger and looking very frustrated collectively as a group. And then my friend Miss Elizabeth was like, "Oh honey, you're working too hard. Let me show you how to do that." And it was like the ninja knot. And she had an entire room of women going, wait, what did you just do? A room full of women who have been sewing and quilting and doing all sorts of stuff for years and years. And none of us had ever seen that before. And it was just life-changing if you sew on a regular basis. So if you learn how to do this knot, you're going to wow so many adults. They're going to be like, "Where did you learn that?" So have fun.
Where you start sewing is going to depend on whether you're a right-handed person or a left-handed person. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm holding the work in my left. If I were a left-handed person, I would turn it, and here's our folded seam, and I would go this direction. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle, and you see how there's this nice little gap in there? I'm going to pierce it through. That's coming out the end, and I'm going to pull it in there. Oops, I got a little bit of my tablecloth in there. All right, so the knot will be hidden on the inside, and then I take this little piece of the tail and I tuck it in there.
Was the video wonky for anyone else? Okay, it's 54 seconds, so I'm just gonna refresh and play again. And play.
Where you start sewing is going to depend on whether you're a right-handed person or a left-handed person. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm holding the work in my left. If I were a left-handed person, I would turn it, and here's our folded seam, and I would go this direction. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle, and you see how there's this nice little gap in there? I'm going to pierce it through. That's coming out the end, and I'm going to pull it in there. Oops, I got a little bit of my tablecloth in there. All right, so the knot will be hidden on the inside, and then I take this little piece of the tail and I tuck it in there. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to
I'm a little glitchy on my end. I just need a minute. Shamrock, can you tell us an interesting story?
Actually, Rosa Moonfire was waiting to share her kite. If there's a good time for that.
Again?
Oh,
Rosa Moonfire
this would be a good time.
waiting to share her kite. So go ahead, Rosa Moonfire.
Okay, so I finished the picture, and if it stops raining soon, I think I might want to go fly it and test it.
Nice idea. Today is a windy day. You'll probably have some good success with that today. And did you watch the part of the video that told you about kite safety?
Oh, I'm going to redo that video.
Okay, yeah, watch the end and where the safe places are to fly kites.
Well, there's no power lines near here, and there's a deep spot where my area is in my neighborhood. So I think I know the perfect place to fly my kite, where there's nothing there, just road around. There's road around it, and I could just fly my kite in that little ditch spot where there's green grass, some brown.
That'll be perfect.
But I'm glad it's raining.
Those kites do really well grabbing wind, so hopefully you'll be able to have some success right away.
All right, I'm ready to share.
Okay. And Rosa Moonfire, thank you for saving me for having to think of a story.
All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to catch on to the edge of the material furthest away from me. And then I'm going to poke through the material closer to me and push. And then make sure your thread's straight before it goes through and pull. And if you have to help the thread stay straight down here, so I like to put a little pressure on the thread, the length that I'm pulling through, because you see how it keeps it nice and straight here, and just straighten it out. And then that's your first one. All right, so what you're going to do is we're going to continue to go all around this edge, and make sure you have, my thread almost fell out of my needle.
Was the sound glitchy for you? Oh, well, on the YouTube video, it's perfect. So at least we have that going for us.
So make sure you have enough of a tail on.
A ding dong 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 ding dong 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 ding dong.
So I believe the name of that stitch that I taught you is a whip stitch, because you're just kind of going around and in and around and in. So you're just kind of whipping through it. So. I'm loving how attentive to your work you're all being. You're all diligently working away. All right. Looks good, Rose Moonfire. It looks like Star is threading a needle. Lots of concentration there.
I'm just shutting down anything that I can shut down. Make sure I'm not whacking things out too much. I'm ready to try again.
I also enjoy how I'm seeing the adults really taking some good care to help their campers learn how to do this. I love that you're not just doing it for them, that you're actually hand over hand or you're showing them. Thank you very much for doing that.
All right, next. On the needle part so that it doesn't fall out of your needle, because it's really hard when you have to keep rethreading your needle. All right, let me do a close-up again so you can see how the stitches are going. Okay, so I'm to where this pin is. I'm going to take this pin out and I'm going to reposition it a little further down and get it out of my way. Be careful not to poke yourself with it.
Nobody? Do I have a second that I can run and help somebody with something in my house, and I'll be back in a minute since we have the slideshow?
I'll keep playing.
Okay, I'll be back.
I'm starting to approach my corner. As I've worked, I took a couple of the pins out and I promptly put them back into the card they came in, and that way I can keep track of them. So we are going to continue as we get to the corner, and what I do a lot of times is I will take my needle and I kind of just push down these little corners that are popping out because I want them to be on the inside of the project if I can. It does not need to be perfect. These are just going to be toys for when you're ready to use them with your cornhole. So continue to pierce through both pieces of material. That's what you call it when you're going through with a needle, as you're piercing it. Try to keep your fingers out of the way, but every person I know who sews, every once in a while you might poke yourself, and it's really not that big of a deal. Just make sure if you do that you go get a Band-Aid. You have your first aid kits, but the whole point, no pun intended on the whole point, but the whole idea is that we do this safely. So as I go around the corner, I want to make sure I go right through the corner. And then I simply turn the material, and then I'm going to continue all the way along this edge. And when I get to the raw edge, the part that where you see the thread sticking out of, then we are going to stop and fill our bag with beans. I've been sewing for a little while, and my thread started to do this. It twirls around itself. So what I will do for that is I'm going to hold this up in the air, and I will have my needle held over, and I'm just going to let it untwirl itself. And then it should be a little bit easier, and then sometimes I will even pull on the thread and help it untwist itself. So that should help you with that. I've arrived at my edge, my corner, and what I'll end up doing is going through one last time. Now, but I want to knot it this time. So I'm going to pull on the thread. I'm going to straighten that out first. Pull on the thread, pull till it's almost all of the way through. Then I'm going to go through the loop that's there and pull down tightly. I usually knot things 2 times just because I feel that they're more secure that way. Pull on the thread.
At this point in the video, I had people cut the thread after they knotted the end a couple times. And then when I was making one on my own between the last session and this one, I thought, why did I cut the thread? Just leave it there dangling off the side, and then you can fill your beans, and then you can continue to sew without having to make another French knot, unless you want to practice a French knot. But I'm going to say in this case, just let the needle safely dangle off the side. Don't cut the thread, fill your bag, and then continue sewing. So
go through the loop and pull tightly. At this point, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully snip off my thread. And then I have a couple of really long strings here too that I don't want to deal with anymore. They're getting in my way. And then now we are ready to fill our bag with beans.
Yes, work smarter, not harder. Just
all right, campers, so in your mailing box, you have a paper bag that is taped closed. This has pinto beans in it. So I want you to take the tape off, and you can actually leave it on the edge there. If you want, you can reseal. And basically you have beans in here. You have more probably than you're going to need. Fold over a little on the top, fold over on each edge, and then you can see that once again the raw edge is going to be folded down and it's going to be stuffed on the inside. That way, when we start to sew, we will only see the nice edge of the fabric. Alright, so now I'm going to load my beans in. And don't feel like you have to have them completely bursting with beans. You have more beans than you're going to need. At least I believe you do. I measured them out. So that's probably pretty good.
So in the last session, Dill was really curious of the exact count of the beans that each bag had to have. And I wasn't quite so exact in my measurements. I just filled it till it looked good. So he decided that the perfect amount of beans to go in each bean bag, I believe, was 45 beans. It is up to you whether or not you want to count out your beans. If that's something that, you know, you want to make sure that your opponents and you are going to have the exact same weight bag, there's no home field advantage or anything like that, then count out your beans. Otherwise, just dump them in until it looks good. So
Shamrock definitely has a question.
Hello, definitely.
I finished my first of these.
I know you need some applause. Nice job, definitely.
Great. Okay, and then
I love Brave Bear silent applause too. Right on.
Okay, what is this? 19 and play.
To get a little closer as I'm gonna make this close up. So fold down the raw edge and then make the folded tops meet up. All right, you're gonna take your pins again. You have all sorts of colors in yours. But, and you're going to push it through both layers of fabric. Then you're going to make it dive back down again and out. And I'm going to do 3 on the top of this to make it as easy as possible to hold this stuffed bag closed. And I pull it out a little bit to get the material taut. Nice and tight. Okay. If you need more thread on your needle, this would be a good time to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that knot again. I have, I think, enough thread to just sew this one last edge. I'm going to show you how to do that French knot again. So make sure you have a little bit of a tail on the end where the needle is. Pull your thread.
Oh, I see spotlight. This is Panda from Songs last year. She wanted to come over and say hello. Hello.
Hi, Panda. I've missed you. But we definitely totally sang Johnny Rebeck last night and thought of you.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks
good
for
to see
being
you guys.
Pickle says hi.
Hi, Pickle.
Thank you. All right.
Smiling away. Thanks for indulging us.
That was a wonderful interruption. Okay. And play.
I'm going to show you how to do that French knot again. So make sure you have a little bit of a tail on the end where the needle is. Pull your thread along your finger and cross it. And then going around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull that thread down like that. Pinch on the top with your nail. Get your thumbnail on above the thread and then just push your needle through and then keep it nice and pinched there and wiggle and pull, 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 pull. And then before you're done, you'll feel a little knot. Once again, you're going to bury your end. I don't know if you can hear those dogs barking behind me. Push, push, push. Pull it through. And then you're going to push this end into the fabric to hide it. You might need to take out one of your pins for a minute. All right, then start to sew. We arrived at the end, so I'm going to go through 1 or 2 more times. And then I'm going to go through the loop. and pull. Through the loop and pull. Now here's the tricky part. We're going to bury your end inside of your project so that way you won't have this weird loose thread end. So find a space really close to where your last stitch was and wiggle your needle through, and don't lose the needle, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the needle peek out of here, pull it out, and then you see how when I pull it this side comes in. We're going to pull and not too close to the fabric, snip your end, and then you can pull that back out, and then your end of your thread is buried. So that is your beanbag.
Do any of the campers or adults with them have any questions about the sewing or anything we've done today before we end? I want to make sure I help you with any questions you have. I just see diligent working. You're all so concentrated. I'm very impressed. Oh, Brave Bear has something to say. Thank you for raising your hand so nicely.
You're welcome. Well, what I wanted to say is that for making the actual thing that the bean bags go through, I did not sand it because I find the sanding really fun, but it takes a while, and it's like I hate splinters, and sometimes in the process of sanding it to prevent splinters, you get a splinter. So Mommy sanded it for me.
Oh, okay, very cool. So, and I forgot the last group. One thing I suggested is you have 6 bean bags. I'm going to do the sign language 6 bean bags that you can make in there. But if you don't have your bean bags done yet, but you really want to play, you could use quarters to throw them on there, or you could use, I don't know if there's any babies in your house. If you have baby socks, really small ones, maybe even like a crumbled up piece of tinfoil, you flatten out a bit. And on the Facebook page are the rules. And if your beanbag lands on the top of it, you get a certain amount of points. And if it goes in the hole, you get a certain amount of points. So, and then just put them across the table. And as you get better, you can start off about a foot apart. You can spread them further and further apart to make it more challenging. So.
Yay. Well, let's all come off of mute. And let's all give Shamrock a big, loud yay for everything that she did for us today.
Yay!
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 Yay! It's been a whole week of by Shamrock. Woohoo! All right. Well, with all of that, it's time for us to go. And if you would all come back for our 3 o'clock closing session, that'd make me very happy to get to spend a little bit of time saying goodbye. All right. I love you all, campers. See you around.
Bye-bye.
Bye.